Welcome to the Clarinet Beginning Instrument How to Put Together Your Instrument and Care for It video. When you assemble your instrument, the first thing you want to make sure you do is that the top of the case is facing up. Your case latches should flip in an upward direction. Undo your case latches and open it up and take out a reed. You can either soak your reed in your mouth if you'd like, or if you want to, you can put it in a little cup of water like I'm going to do today. Take your cork grease and take off the lid. It looks like chapstick, but it's not. So please don't put chapstick on your instrument and don't use cork grease on your lips. You're going to grease all of your corks, go around one time and rub it in with your fingers. You'll need to do this about twice per week. You'll know if your instrument hasn't done it, or I will know if your instrument hasn't had it done, because it will be very hard to put your instrument together, which will result in you bending and breaking keys. So please make sure you do this twice per week. If you feel like it needs it more because it's hard to put together, go ahead and do that. If you have a brand new instrument, or if you had your instrument recorked, then you'll need to do it every day for about the first 2 weeks until those corks start to break in. Take the top joint of your clarinet, that's the shorter one with keys, and find the bridge key. It's this key at the end, it sticks out, and there's a key that makes that wiggle. Okay, find that bridge key. Now pick up your long joint, or the lower joint, it's the taller one, and you have the matching end to the bridge key here. There's also a key that will make that lift. We want to raise the bridge key on our top joint, but not on our bottom joint. Find where those two bridge keys are at and align them, and then slowly twist it together. Your top joint bridge key should go on top of the bottom joint. Be careful when you're twisting this together that we're not really twisting a whole bunch and that we're not moving our hands across the keys so that we don't bend or break any of them. Use small twisting motions, making sure that you align those bridge keys first so that we don't have as far to go. Next, take your bell, and that's going to go on the bottom of the long joint, or the bottom joint. If you put it on the wrong side, it'll be very loose and wiggly and won't go on there. Gently twist that on. Again, we're using small twisting motions to put it on, taking care not to bend and break our keys. Set that down in a safe spot, preferably in your lap, or if you're a beginning student, we're going to be doing this on the ground for the first couple weeks until you get used to it. And now take your mouthpiece and the barrel, and you're going to assemble these together. Your ligature might be on top of your mouthpiece. Please take that off, because otherwise it's going to scratch up your mouthpiece and ruin it, okay? Twist the mouthpiece and the barrel together. Again, you'll have greased the mouthpiece cork. If you put it the wrong way, it's very loose and wiggly and won't go together. Gently twist those together, and then place on your ligature. If you put it on the wrong way, it won't go on. So make sure you put it on the correct direction. The screws need to be on the right side of you. So as I'm looking at the whole of my mouthpiece, I see that my screws are on the right side. I'm going to loosen my screws so that I have room to work with, not all the way. And now I'm going to take my reed. Your reeds always work best when they're soaked. So if you haven't been soaking it in your mouth this whole time, you're going to be soaking it in a cup. Now take your ligature and scooch it up towards the tip. Take your reed, grabbing by the centerpiece, you'll see the brand name written on that reed. That's going to face the hole. It's not going to go in the hole, it's just going to face it, and we're going to slide it down like this. We don't ever want to touch the tip, because if you hold it to the light, you'll notice the tip is very thin. You can actually see the light through it. and wiggle it down into place. To get it placed properly, you're going to have just a thin line of black showing at the top, like this. Very, very, very thin line. Okay, like you drew it with a pencil. We're going to make sure that the gap in between the screws is centered on the reed. Again, those screws should be on the right side. And then we're going to, if your mouthpiece has these little guidelines, you might not be able to see them on mine, you want to align your ligature with the guidelines. If yours does not have guidelines, all you need to remember is that the slope from your mouthpiece, and then it starts to go straight, it should be beneath the straight part by about 1/4 of an inch. It should not be lined up to that edge. And it definitely should not be over that edge, creating a little cave at the front end. We never, ever, ever put our ligature on and slide it from the bottom, because you will chip the tip of your reed. Another thing that we do not do is put our reed on it and then slide our ligature over, because you risk chipping your reed again. So always put the ligature on first, screws to the right, raise it, brand of the reed facing the hole with the flat side down so that the tip is going to align with the tip, maneuver it into place, thin line of black, gaps of the screws centered on the reed, and now we're going to align it with our guidelines, or looking at the curve, going beneath that to the straight, 1/4 inch beneath the straight part. And now we're going to tighten our screws. You always start with the bottom screw, and we tighten it just until it stops turning. Then we move to the top screw and do that one. It's very important to do the bottom one first and then the top one. You'll notice that the gap in between the screws is probably not going to close up all of the way. The final step is to put this onto our instrument. So again, being careful to use small twisting motions, not large twisting motions. We're going to align the register key, that's the long skinny key in the back, line it up with our reed. They should be both facing towards you, and gently twist until it's all the way in, reed lined up with the register key, and now you're ready to play. When we take our instrument apart, the first thing you do, unscrew your ligature, put your thumb at the bottom of the reed and push it up, grab by the side, slide it out, wipe it off on your pants or your shirt, or you can use your silk swab that I'll show you in just a second here. Remove your ligature, remove the mouthpiece and barrel, remove the bell, separate the bodies, again small twisting motions, and set all those pieces into your case. Don't close your case yet, because we need to clean out the instrument. Take your silk swab. We don't want to use cotton swabs because they leave behind fibers onto our pads that are not good for the instrument. We don't want to use those yellow chamois-like, they're kind of spongy swabs, because they actually get stuck in your instrument and they're very expensive to remove. There's a drop weight attached to your silk swab. Put that through the hole of the mouthpiece and drop it through the barrel and gently pull it through. If it feels like it's getting stuck, stop and pull it out the back side. Untwist your mouthpiece and barrel, and there might be some moisture still on there. Wipe that off. Put your ligature back onto the mouthpiece and into your case. If you have your mouthpiece cap, you'll want to put that on there too to help protect it. Your barrel will probably have a lot of moisture still on the edges, so wipe that off. Put that into the case. And now you're going to go through each joint of your clarinet one by one and swab it out to remove all of the moisture, including the bell. There's not always a lot in the bell, but sometimes there's a little. You'll probably have to check all of the ends, because again, just like on your barrel and your mouthpiece, there might be a little bit of moisture in there. On our top joint, remember that's the smallest joint, inside you'll notice that there is a little piece sticking out into the center of the clarinet. We want to make sure that we don't get stuck on that, okay? So I like to start on the opposite side of that section, drop it through, and gently pull it through. Again, if any point it starts to feel like it's getting stuck, stop and pull it out the back side. This is the spot on our clarinet where it tends to get stuck the most. Wipe any moisture off of the ends and put it into your case. Double check that your reed, all the moisture is removed so it doesn't grow mold. The cases that your reeds come in, these little clear plastic cases, they are only meant for shipping. You should never use these to store your reeds in. So once you take it out of the packaging, throw this away. You'll need to get a reed case. Now you're going to be using multiple reeds and rotating them out on a daily basis. New reeds are a little bit harder to play. They need breaking in, kind of like shoes. So I would have, this one is a reed case for 2 reeds. You can put one on each side. I would get one that has one for 4, so that you're rotating one each day, and you always have at least 4 in your case that you've played on, so that in case something breaks when we get to a concert, you have a reed that's already broken in. New reeds will squeak and squawk, so we don't want to have that problem. Slide your reed, starting with the tip, into your reed case. That will help it keep flat, because it's sitting on a flat surface. You'll notice that when you have a piece of paper and it gets wet and then you let it dry out, it gets wavy. The same thing happens to our reeds. So if you store them in those cases that they come in, they're actually not totally flat. Some of them, they almost look like it, but they're not. And it's going to make your reeds be wavy, and that makes it harder to play on and makes it so that you don't have as much control. You'll have squeaking and squawking issues. So we always want to use a reed case. And again, rotating out a new reed every day so that we always have 4 good broken in reeds at all times. Put your reed case and all your materials back into that case. We want to make sure that all of the pieces of the clarinet are in the proper spot. Your silk swab, you're just going to shake it out and then put it into one of the cubbies inside of your case and shut your case and latch it. If your case does not easily shut, it means that you have a piece of your clarinet in wrong. Stop and adjust it, otherwise you're going to break something. That's everything for our beginning clarinet maintenance.